Now, I feel apologies are in order. Yes, I have bottled the Game Week 36 and Game Week 37 player podium videos, and a lot of stuff happened. So I have made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment. But anyway, it's Game Week 38. The season is over, and these are the rules. It's not my camera. And these are the rules of the player podium. It was 3 players per team were awarded points based on individual performance, with the best player receiving 3 points, second best receiving 2 points, and third best receiving and points. If the team has less than 3 outstanding players, their best performing player may receive less than 3 points, with players accumulating points every week and being placed on the leaderboard, and each week one player is awarded player of the week. I should probably show you what happened and stuff like that, and where things lie after the two episodes that I missed. So these Game Week 36, these are your point scorers at the top here, as you can see, which extends Haaland out to 45 points at the top, with Bruno hitting 40 points now. Bowen pushing up there, Xhaka's pushing up. Anderson, I believe, pushed up after that one. Yes, he did. And the player of the week for that one was Adrian Truffert, who did very well for Bournemouth in that particular match. And I'm going to shift straight away into Game Week 37, where this is the layer of the land. Palace and City had double game weeks because they were playing their Game Week 31 match from I think it was the FA Cup or Carabao. No, it was Carabao Cup, which delayed that. And then Game Week 37 player of the week was Foden because he got 2 assists against Palace. And then Fernandes out on 43, Holland on 46. And you've got Anderson pushed up into 30 points, which is cool. Still there. Dewsbury hit 25. Rice and Saka hitting 25. Minte's up to 27. He's had a very good season there. And Gibbs White and stuff like that pushing up there. But yeah, I do very much apologise. I've had a lot going on in recent weeks. So I haven't been able to keep up to date, which is my bad. Yeah, my bad. Let's just get straight into it. We start the last game week of the season with Brighton 0, United 3. This, for me, was a game in which the roles almost reversed. Like, Brighton are the team that had something to play for, and United theoretically should have been on the beach. But that's not how it went in the end. United were the team that looked like they still were fighting for Europe, and Brighton were the team that looked as if they had nothing going on. I think, honestly, they were pretty lucky that, Brentford were close to getting a win against Liverpool. The way that they played in this game isn't warranted of a team that should be in Europe, but they've had a good season overall. So they were lucky that they could put themselves, well, not lucky, but they were able to put themselves in a position beforehand in which they didn't need to really win this game. They had the benefit of the doubt, they had the advantage. Obviously, the results had to go their way if they were to lose this game, which they did. But results kind of did go their way, and Conference League is better than no European footballer. Winning the Conference League, I think, for Brighton would be a great achievement. It's a kind of team that massively benefits from that competition being introduced. And Man United, it kind of solidifies the idea of getting Carrick in for next season. I think they have basically reached an agreement with him. I think there's a lot of work to be done on that United team. There's a lot of players that shouldn't be there, and Carrick needs to implement his own ideas and own players on that squad. But either way, I think it is a step in the right direction to appoint Carrick. Honestly, I think he has shown to be a good manager. The players have been working in his system. Um, and honestly, I do think he deserves a shot at least. Because, I don't see many alternatives out in the job market at the moment. You could move for someone who already had a job, but who would go to United after the tumultuous times they've had of recent. And Carrick seems to be fairly level-headed, fairly understanding of the game. So I think that is the right appointment there. And well done, Bruno, on getting that assists record as well, to be fair to him. Bit of an off season for Ahmad, but he had a good game in the final one of the year. I don't know where his future lies, to be honest. I don't think it's at Man United. I like the player, but I think Man United should be looking to do better. He's had a very low point in the season. His form was poor throughout, especially during the winter months and into the spring. But this is a glimpse of what the player can be. He was getting down that right hand flank. He was trying to make a bit of a difference, and he got an assist in the end for, was it Mbeumo's goal? Yeah, from Mbeumo's goal. So fair play to Giza. Dorgu's coming to the squad, and we're back into the squad, and pretty much picked up where he left off. I mean, he was doing really well before his injury, and he's come back into that left wing, goal and assist. Ops your uncle Fanny's your aunt. He's done really well there. Um, that's kind of all. That's kind of what you want really from Dorgu there. Not the kind of goal you expect from him. A pretty powerful header, pretty unmarked, which shows. I mean, how poor Brighton were in that particular one. They seemed to be mentally failing on the beach. Left Dorgu unmarked, and the header was a good one, and it got them on the way to 3 points. It's Bruno Fernandes with 3 points again, and as it has been on so many occasions this season, he has just stepped up to the plate. He's been unreal throughout the course of this year, and whether you think that was technically an assist or not, I think he deserves to at least stand on par with those with the record, if not be ahead of them for the year that he's had. And I mean, the fact that he's going to stay at United, I think, for next season because they've got Champions League football. I think if with the right improvements, United could actually make some damage in the Champions League next year. That's depending. I mean, if the Carrick signing works out, of course, which I think it probably could do. The most pointless game all season. I mean, both of these teams have been awful all year. The atmosphere at Turf Moor was so flat. It was like I can't imagine what it must have been like for those teams playing in that game because there was no real vibrancy. There was no real there's nothing there because you've both been relegated. They called it a £2.5 million game, which is different in prize money, but for those two establishments, that will make no difference with parachute payments as well. Burnley should be on a third layer of parachute payments at this point. So if they come up next season, then they need to really, really give it a go at staying up because this parachute payment method isn't working. They've come up and they haven't looked inspiring at all. I don't know who the next Burnley manager will be. I'm not going to make any predictions. And to be honest, out of the three teams going down, I think they're in a bit of a. I think they're probably the least likely to come back up next year. I'm a fan of some of the business that Wolves have done. If they can keep some of their players, then I think they'll be all right next year. To be honest with you, I think they will come back up. Like if Mane stays at the club, the stuff that he'll do to that league will be ungodly. Like he will be so disgraceful in the Championship. Armstrong's a proven Championship striker. You've got some serious talent. Well, not talent, but you've got some serious players at midfield. I think is it Andre signed a new contract. I'm talking serious talent in terms of Championship level. That's a team that are going to do the most. And yeah, I mean, even I would say even more so than West Ham because the excess that happens at Wolves will be nothing like the one that happens at West Ham because they aren't a big of a I say big of a team. They aren't as good on paper as a team. A man who I think will leave Burnley is Ian Fleming. I think he's a Premier League level striker. I would be surprised if one of the three promoted teams doesn't hoover him up. Maybe who finished in around that lower down? Maybe Leeds, maybe a team of that kind of caliber, maybe like a Fulham or a Palace, someone along those kind of lines. A team that traditionally are finishing a bit lower down in the league. Teams that in and around the in and around like 13th, 14th, 12th, those kind of positions. I think he's got if he gets into a better team with better service, I think there's definitely a Premier League level player there. And Armstrong scored his penalty. Did what he needed to do in the moment. Good penalty, to be fair. Pretty composed finish. He's looked alright for Wolves so far since signing. Obviously, he wasn't going to be the one that scraped them out of survival or anything, but yeah, he's done kind of what he can. Limited ability of squad, so he's not going to be the be all and end all, really, is he? But I'm quite excited to see what happens with Mane. For me, I think Rob Edwards being so confident that Mane will stay at the club is very, very optimistic, to be honest with you. I don't doubt that a year in the Championship would be fantastic for his development, but I think, again, a team like Palace would snap him up, I believe. I think he'd fit very well in that in and around that squad. With the new manager coming in, um, I think he's as an attacking option. So I've been disappointed with the likes of Johnson and Mateta's probably on the way out, so there's room for competition in that team. Uche might not sign on a permanent, and obviously Romain Esse isn't really a really bit of an unknown factor as to what's going to happen with him next year. So someone like Mane, who has a year and 7 months of Premier League football under his belt, has impressed in that time. I think would be a great signing for a team like that. Yeah, both of these teams weren't asked. Not at all. And you know what? Fair play to them. Why would you be? Palace have gone on to win the Europa Conference League, so congratulations to them. Honestly, they deserve it, man. They really do deserve it. They've the job that has been done by Ollie Glasner in the last few years to really elevate the stature of that club can't go unnoticed. I know it ended in a bit of acrimonious circumstances this year, but I think the trophy lift will completely erase that. Um, but into the Europa League where they so definitely belong after the bullshit that happened last year. And honestly, I'm happy they weren't in it this year because we would have lost them in the semi-finals. So yeah, Arsenal got to lift the trophy and they turn their attentions now to Saturday, which at the time of recording is tomorrow. 2 days, but by the time you see it, it's probably tomorrow for the Champions League final. I'll be watching it in Cardiff, so my content after the season will be waiting until then. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching PSG put 20 past them. I'll say that. And for me, he's received a lot of unfair criticism this year. Jeremy Pino got on the points there. Come on, and made a real impact. He got an assist from Mateta, scored a goal, which is obviously ruled out. But I mean, the result really doesn't make a difference, does it? He looked good when he come on, and I mean, for someone who's been doubted quite a lot by non-Palace fans, and there's a few Palace fans I've seen have kind of soured on him slightly. It wouldn't be so. It's good for him to get a decent little performance at the end of the season. Go again in the Europa League next year. In the 90 plus fourth minute, Gabriel Jesus makes his inclusion onto the player podium list for the 25-26 season with his goal in that game. Hasn't got a point all season, but in the dying embers, he scrapes himself onto the board, and he's not the only person to do that, to be fair to him. It's a nice finish. Um, Obviously, it's good for him to get some minutes on the board, get out there. Also, by the way, Kepa being able to qualify for a Premier League medal is brilliant. I think that is just objectively very funny. And it's Madueke who picked up an injury, I think, at the end of that game, which really isn't ideal because he's been called up to England World Cup squad. Maybe we can replace him with someone a bit better. Maybe that's a bit of wishful thinking. I don't know. But yeah, he scored a nice goal in that game, and generally down that right hand side just did look quite threatening. So I think he does deserve 2 points. I've got a lot to say on Newcastle. I've about their season overall, and the fact that they're selling Anthony Gordon to Barcelona for 70 million euros, I think, is a massive statement. I think that is huge because after the season that they've had, obviously, I don't think Gordon's been good enough. Um, which side note, we'll probably see Rashford leave Barcelona, which is what they plan to do, sign him and then sell him. I don't think Gordon's been good enough. But to sell your possibly marquee player for that much money to Barcelona, I think it's a signal that obviously you wanted to go, but that you are going to be making some big change to that club. And after the season that they've had, they need them. Newcastle have been awful this year, and this game, I mean, obviously it's the end of the season, but the mentality of the players, they looked like they didn't they put the season behind them, but they shouldn't do that. They should be focusing on the fact that this season's been that bad and should be trying at every possible stage to rectify it, in my personal opinion. Fulham didn't need to get out of second gear. They breezed through Newcastle. Newcastle weren't much of a threat in the slightest. But yeah, it's been a poor season for Newcastle. Fulham have had a very good opportunity to get into Europe now, and they have let it slip again. I don't think Marco Silva's going to stay there next season. To be honest with you, I think he is. Well, it was waiting to see whether they got Europe and got a bit more money, got suspended a little bit more, but obviously that's not going to happen now, and I think he wants to take the next step in his career. Another man making his final push to be on the list, Issa Diop. Just more awake than everyone else. Alan Shearer's analysis of Guimaraes and Willock for the goal was great. It just showed how like lazy they kind of were with it. And Diop, I mean, I'll be honest, it was a fucking strike from Kevin. That was ridiculous effort. If that went in, that's goal of the season without a shadow of a doubt. Um, but Diop was there to hoover up the pieces and make it 1-0. Well, he kind of ran the show in the midfield there. Obviously, there's a lack of effort from Newcastle, but he still dictated well, and he still, like he has been from that deep position this season, he still did make such an impact in the game. That move, I think, has done really well for Iwobi this season, because with some of the names they brought in at the start of the season, they had, Chukwueze and Kevin all come in. They had Oscar Bob in January. His role as an attacking midfielder could have massively dropped, but as he's moved to a deeper role, he gets to dictate from further back position on the pitch. I think it's really benefited him. But Tom Kearney with a lovely peach of a finish at the end there to make it 2-0. It's just that is such a nice goal. Fulham have scored some really nice goals this season, and that is just absolutely one of them. The technique was brilliant. Just to curl it into the top corner. Believe me, I've seen a few of those kind of goals this season, if you know what I mean. As a Villa fan, but yeah, Kearney is loyal servant to the club and deserved 3 points just for that goal in itself. Obviously, this game was focused around the goodbyes of Salah and Robertson, but I think they can't ignore the fact that there was a genuine, real chance for Brentford to get European football this season. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think they should have. I think it's poor from them that they didn't. Obviously, you don't expect them to get European football at the start of the season. I thought they were going to get relegated in 20th place. But your expectations change. Brentford was sat in 6th place for a lot this season. I know Bournemouth have had a monstrous end to the year, but even in this game, there were chances to win it. In the game last week, there were chances to win that one as well. And if you look throughout the season, there's been, I think the Fulham one in my mind stands out a lot. It's like 3-1 to Fulham. They've had some poor games. I know they shouldn't have got European football at the start of the season, but for them to get Europe under Keith Andrews in his first year would have been massive for the club, and I think that would have been able to sustain their level of development. That would have attracted better talent than they're going to attract this summer. And with their notorious selling ways, with the likes of Thiago possibly going to be looked at by other people, maybe you think someone like Damsgaard would be as well. Coyote certainly, I know, is on the radar of Juventus already. You need European football, I think, to tempt people to go, and they haven't got that, which they should still be proud of their efforts this season, but I think you would have to be wary of that. For Liverpool, they managed to get Champions League football. That's the best they could have hoped for, to be honest, and they got to say goodbye to their heroes. So, yeah, I think they were more focused on that one in that game. It was Mo with an assist at the end there to make it 1-1, and I think it was to get them Champions League football in the end. Um, yeah, Salah was I think I'm going to miss Salah in the Premier League. There's such a vibe of that Liverpool team that won the league and come second in the Champions League. There's such a good vibe around that set of lads that it's going to be weird without a lot of them in the league now. Obviously, like so Wijnaldum and Fabinho left a while ago. Salah and Firmino now and Mane and that are all going. Robertson and Trent have gone as well. So to see a court for me, it's one of the first times seeing a real like established great Premier League team get slowly not not disemboweled. That's kind of a weird way of saying it, but yeah, it is a bit. I don't obviously I'm not sad. I don't really like Salah, but I think it's I don't know really how to describe it. I wouldn't say I'm not sad because like it's not my player, it's not my team. But it is a bit of a shame to see these players that I mean, well, this is when I started really properly watching the Premier League when we got re-promoted. So these I've known these like era of Premier League football really well. So to see some of it go is a bit of a shame, I think. Another man who might be leaving and should leave Liverpool this summer, Curtis Jones. Yeah, good box crashing goal. I'm always a fan of those midfielders that can get into the box and put one in the back of the net. I am a big fan, and he did it very well in that game. Made it 1-1, and well, no, made it 1-0 at the time. Got them the lead and got them a point in the end. So fair play, Kietis. Kevin Schade for me has had a very overhated season. I've seen a lot of slander from Brentford fans. Obviously, I don't watch 9 minutes of Brentford every week. I watch the highlights of the games. But I think he does make more of an impact, and I do believe a lot of Brentford fans give him credit for. Um, I think it for me. I don't think he's a very good player. I think he's on and off, and he's had a good season. I think there might be right to say they need to improve on him, but with who is kind of the question. And then also like yeah, I think he has had a pretty good year, so I feel very just over so slightly harsh. A man who has had a pretty good season in my opinion, Quimmin Kelleher. Made a lot of saves in that one, and against the old club, it's kind of what you want to do. You got to say goodbye to a few of his old mates. Yeah, decent day out for the kid. Don't know why I'm calling him a kid. He's like 10 years older than me. Yeah, I mean, this is just what we flipping do. I think we need to be on the piss every week, in all honesty, because yeah, we just look good. We started such a like rotated team. If you've got Garcia and Bailey starting in the big 26, you know we're not taking shit seriously. Ollie Watkins with a brace. The form that he's been in recent weeks has been great, and He's going to win the World Cup. I can assure you that now. He's going to score an important goal that's going to take us. That's going to play a role in our quest for the World Cup. I think. What a player, Ross Barkley. What a player. Um, Marco Bizot. What a player. Unai Emery. What a fucking geezer. Honestly, what a gaffer. I love that man so much. I'll be building a statue myself because yeah, he's just such a fucking legend. Um, but speaking of legends, Pep's going, and I thought the guard of honors were a bit gay. I'll be honest with you. I thought they were bit utter woke nonsense. But if anyone deserves a guard of honor, it should be Pep, surely. Um, the work that he's done in the league, the revolutionary ideas he's brought to football, he's completely and utterly like for me personally. Obviously, I've never met the guy in my actually I've met the guy in my life. I've not met him, but I've seen him. Um, for me, the way that like people my age have watched the change of football is so like revolutionary, and it's completely altered the way that we think about football pretty much. Like the mind that he is in the football game is incredible, and surely it's international management with Spain next. You'd think. I mean, if they don't win the World Cup this year, I don't know who their manager is at the moment. Um, but I'm sure Spain will move heaven and earth to get Guardiola in. Pep's final ever goal scorer, Antoine Semenyo, won Pep his last ever trophy for City as well. There's a fun fact for you. That's a pub quiz question in 5 years. Um, he's been a good signing. He's capped off his year with a goal. Um, been fantastic in the Premier League this season. Semenyo has, like he really has been great. Um, obviously the goal didn't mean anything for the result or for the season, but yeah, it's just nice to score in it. Look at that trophy! Woohoo! Well, hey, Emi Buendia, what a boy! Up and down the pitch as he has been all season, mate. I love this geezer so much. I was disappointed with him when we let him go, and I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But this season, man, the work that he's done to get back into this team, what a boy, what an absolute boy. I love him so much. To be honest, half of the reason I'm giving this point is just for the performance in the Europa League final. Like, I'll be so honest with you, but he deserved it in that game as well. We put in a good shift. Tell you what, I think he might go this summer, and I think he's going to go to Coventry, or no, I think he's going to go to Coventry. But I have really enjoyed Ross Barkley for these last 2 years at the Villa. Um, Again in that game, a really nice ball through to Watkins, perfectly timed. Um, I've every time he stepped onto the pitch, he's been reliable. Like we signed him for 5 million quid in a Champions League year as well. He scored against Leipzig. I remember he scored a goal against Leicester, an important goal against Leicester. Scored in the 4-0 win against Bournemouth. Like I've been very much. If this is the last time we see Barkley for Villa, I've very much enjoyed his second stint at the club. He's been a real mature head to bring on in games where we are just slightly ahead, and he always makes a difference. And he just looks so composed on the ball, and he's so assured when he carries it forward. And for me, he's completely rebuilt his reputation in English football with the work he's done at Luton and us. So if it is goodbye, Ross, then thank you very much, mate. But to round out the season and 25-26 as an entity, the last player of the week of the season is drunk Ollie Watkins. There's nothing this man can't do. I was about 4 months ago, heaven and earth moving for a new striker. I still think we need a recruitment there, but if we kept Ollie Watkins next year, I would not be sad in the slightest. He has had an amazing 2026. He's been so good for us this calendar year, um, and to cap it off with I know they're meaningless goals, but two goals to beat City away from home on the last day of the season, and it's just a good vibe. He was fantastic. He was amazing at the trophy parade. I was laughing a lot at what he was saying. And I hope for his sake that he got straight back on the beers afterwards because he fucking deserves it. He does. A very consequential game. This one was Forest Bournemouth. really important that Bournemouth got the point there because it could have been Conference League dreaming for them. But they're in the Europa League. Andoni Iraola has, for me, done. I can't lie. I think he might have done the right thing in leaving. To take Bournemouth to a certain point and to bow out in the way that he has done, I think is great for his CV. I think it's great for his future as a manager, and I also think it is great for Bournemouth. They can get in a manager of a. They can attract a prestige, like a decent level manager, which I have done with Marco Rose. He's managed at the top level in Germany for a few years now, and they can bring in some players of some serious quality this season. Um, for Forest, this was obviously a nothing game. They're on the beach. They have some work to do for next season. They're going to lose Elliot Anderson. I think that's inevitable. I think they might actually keep Gibbs White. I don't see Gibbs White leaving. But they need to take a long, hard look at themselves and some of their recruitment and what they plan to do for next year because I still think there's a lot of instability at that football club. Mari Hutchinson with an assist in that game. That's kind of why I got the point, to be honest with you. Forest weren't amazing that game. They didn't really have much to aim for. Um, Laid it off nicely for Gibbs White's free kick, but yeah, that's kind of it. Gibbs White just proving why he should have been on the plane. I haven't made a video about the World Cup squad. I don't plan on doing it, but I think it's a bit of a. I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of it, and I think Gibbs White should have been on the plane. He's one of the boys that definitely deserved to be there. He's put in a shift this year in the Prem, and that finish shows the kind of quality that he has. And to bring someone like that off the bench, I think would be really useful. Tavernier coming in with another goal, and he's really taken up the mantle since Semenyo left. He scored. That's an important goal because the table was close in, and he needed to. They needed to get a point out of that game, and they got European football in the end. So congratulations to Bournemouth. I do apologise for not finishing fifth. Otherwise, you win the Champions League. But is what it is, I guess. But the work that this man's done this season can't go ignored. Adrian Truffert has been a fantastic signing. He has been so good for Bournemouth this year. Um, Almost arguably better than Kirkes was last year, or on a similar par of performance with Kirkes, but massive shoes to fill, so the circumstance makes it even more impressive. And it's another assist in that game, another player, man of the match performance for Bournemouth. This is incredible. Sunderland, wow. When I saw some of the players that they signed, I kind of realised that there's not a chance in hell this team are going down. I watched their first game of the season. Players like Ballard were fantastic, and I thought, okay, there's legs to this team. They signed then what Mukiele, Alderete, and you see signings like those, and you think, well, you're obviously not going to get relegated. But the fact that they managed to drag that team into eighth place in Europa League football, or seventh place in Europa League football, sorry, while for me not having a very potent forward line is an incredible achievement. I'm very happy for Sunderland. I'm so happy for Sunderland. I'm so happy that Chelsea didn't get in because that's just fucking boring. Like the fact that Sunderland got in over Chelsea is amazing. I'm so happy that it happened, and I'm genuinely for each of those players. I'm delighted for you. Like that is such to go from like the lows of the lows, the Sunderland Till I Die documentary, to having this result and playing in it will actually be 10 years on from the filming of that documentary. They'll be playing in Europe. That is amazing. That's such a good turnaround for a club that does not deserve to be in the situation that they were. And yeah, Chelsea shit. Lefay's been amazing this season. Technically a signing, actually. Technically a new signing. Well, not technically. He is and he isn't. Signed on a permanent deal at the end of his loan from Roma, and yeah, just an absolute wizard for them this year. Thing is, this guy, whether he's been playing centre back, which he did play in that game, or been played out on the right, he's been amazing either way. This is a guy that is been playing at the highest level for very long, and he's up down to Sunderland level and made a massive difference. And players like him are the reason why they're going to attract some big signings, I think, for next season. But it was one of the old guard, Trey Hume, that got the goal in that one, assisted by Luke O'Nien, which is quite cute. Yeah, I mean, he's managed to get game time this season, which I think is good for the guy. Other players that were important in their rise, like Shirkin, obviously '09, Isidore, haven't had as much of a say this year, but yeah, he seemed to be one of the boys that have played quite a lot on the left and on the right when Mukiele's not been out there. So yeah, scored a good goal against us as well. Boo! Wanker, wanker. Yes, just boring in it. Like, come on. Everton didn't have a shot on target in the second half, I don't think, or until like the 90th minute. It's just, you don't want to see Spurs stay up. That's so boring. Like, Spurs, imagine Spurs getting relegated. You know how sick that would have been. I would have gone to Spurs away, just with a random team, to be honest with you, because that'd have been jokes. Um, yeah, but this is just shit. Like, no one wanted Spurs to stay up. I'll be honest with you, no one wanted Spurs to stay up. Um, they need to sort their act out next season. They have had an awful year, and they need to they need to pull their fingers out of their arse because they got away with one this year. Massively, massively got away with one. If West Ham weren't so poor for the first half of the season, if they'd won one or two more games, Spurs would be looking at Lincoln away next year. Yeah, for Everton, like, come on, lads, you could have put in a bit of a fight. I know it's a rich coming from us because Villa was shit against Spurs as well, but like, it's just fun, isn't it? Just a bit of fun, just getting relegated. Fistel has been a problem when he's played, and weirdly enough, he hasn't been played near enough for Spurs this season. Next season, I think he's going to have an increased role. Him and not Kulisevsky, him and Kulis, I think, are going to cause some real issues. But yeah, there needs to be serious work done outside of that because he needs a better squad around him because he's a player of some serious quality, I think. But a guy that scores a lot more goals than scored quite a lot of goals for Spurs this season, more than I thought he was going to. Polinia got the goal that basically helped keep them up in the end because if they didn't score at 0-0, who knows what happens. So yeah, fair play, Joao, and yeah, just get a life, mate. The remontada was close for West Ham. But let's not kid ourselves here. This has been quite a while coming now. West Ham have been uninspiring for a long time. Their recruitment for a long time has been awful. You have to say that they haven't looked like a team that will survive for very long in the Premier League going forward. Since they won the Conference League, to be honest with you, like since then they just haven't provided any inspiration as an outfit. I haven't had any faith in West Ham that they're gonna do anything of any sort really, and they've slowly slid down the table, and their time is now up, and you can't say it hasn't been deserved. To be honest with you, a lot of those players were poor at the start of the season. Obviously, their pickup in form was good, but it was too little, too late in the end. And yeah, again, I'm going to come back to transfer business. Woeful, just been woeful. Consistently, one of the worst spending clubs in the league, and as a West Ham fan, I would be nervous about next season because the way that with the tendencies of their board, I would not be surprised if they recruit poorly again and sell poorly again because it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. But I didn't talk much about Leeds, but there's nothing to say about Leeds. They have had a good season and they can look forward to next year. Improve and try and go again. But some of it was 1 point was dangerous down that left hand side. Obviously, it didn't. They needed a favour, so they could only do what they could from their end. But yeah, he looked alright as he has done for a lot of times this season. He's had a better season, a much better season since he signed than the one since he signed for him. So fair play. I will give praise to is Castellanos. He hasn't been as useless as I thought he was going to be. I looked at that signing and I thought, ugh, that stinks of poo. But he's proved me wrong, I think. Oh, just punch the mic. I think Castellanos has actually been alright for West Ham. He's a striker that can kind of do it himself sometimes. I recall back to some particular games where the emphasis is all on him. He's the one that has to lead them forward, and he's done that. Not obviously not amazing because he got relegated, but in some certain games he's done that quite well. And I think that I think that we all did jump to conclusions about Castellanos, which I mean, knowing West Ham's record and their habits, it was right to do. I mean, the other signing, Pablo, was awful. So yeah, but Castellanos been alright. And it is time to escape. Come on, Jared, you've got to get your ass out of there. You need to find somewhere new to be next season, because if he stays in the Championship, for a player of his quality, that is unfortunate, and the fact that that might be the peak of his career is even more depressing. Um, Come on, Jared. I know you got it in you. It's just Danny won't punch you in the face if you leave West Ham. I'm sure he'll understand. I'd say come to Villa, but I'm not a massive fan. I say I'm not a massive fan. I don't know if I'd have. I don't know if I'd really want you there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with Bone at Villa. Like, if we signed him, I wouldn't complain, but I would rather explore other options first. If you know what I'm saying. I'm sounding pretty harsh when I say I don't want you here. I don't want you here. I'd be happy to have you at the Villa. Fuck it, come to Villa, Jared. Go on, go for it. It's been a very chilled out episode, because for the last game of the season, there's not a lot of analysis to do, because you with the analysis, you want to think about how this can be maintained going forward for the habits that you see in games. If you pick something out, then half of analysis is realizing it and then relating it to what can happen going forward. And nothing can happen going forward for all of these teams except Arsenal, but the league has nothing to do with the Champions League. So these are our final point scorers for the final time this season, and if we go all the way across, you will find out that your player of the podium, player of the season, is a tie. Nice, brilliant stuff, lads. Good stuff. So I am gonna give it. I'm gonna give player of the season for the player podium this year to Bruno Miguel Borges Fernandes. Breaking the assist record. Been the white knight during Manchester United's horror run. I don't think you can go ignored. That's good for me. And we'll have a look around the grounds. Following that up, Semenyo and Bowen on 33 points overall this season, and Anderson. So we've only got 5 players that hit 30 points this year. Maybe that's the baseline, I guess, going forward to expect for players having like stellar seasons. Following that up, obviously Shaka, Ekatike, fantastic signing. Minter has been very under the radar. People have criticised his output, which I think is partly fair, but if you have a look at how he plays in game, I think he just impacts the game so much outside of output. Igor Thiago and Gibbs White, amazing seasons, both their clubs. And then the first of the Premier League winners, Rice and Saka in 25 points, followed by Drewsbury All, just beating teammate Ndiaye and Joao Pedro on 24 points. And Semenyo's there as well. 24 points in the first half of the season as well is incredible work at club. Guimaraes, Cunha, then Mbuemo and Rofes as well there. There's 3 big signings this season that all did well. Mark Gahey and Wharton, technically 2 Palace boys, breaking the 20-point mark. With Marcus Tavernier man, gone under the radar, I'll tell you what Tavernier has this year. I think he's done a lot better than people give him credit for in the absence of Semenyo. And then breaking the 20-point mark, Shirky, can't argue with that. Stach Fernandez, both been fantastic in midfield. Damsgaard, I think, has gone under the radar for Brentford. And I think he's a player that I like a lot more than bloody hell. It's a player that I like a lot more than other people do. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin is he's on his way to prove me wrong. Just give it another 6 months, and I will hold my hand up, say I was wrong about him. And then the boy, come on, son, Super John again. What a player. And then you're starting to get players that have had good seasons. You like, so if your Harry Wilsons are in there, Grealish at the start when he was doing so well for Everton pre-injury, Dan Ballard and Ghana, brilliant work. Szoboszlai been outstanding for Liverpool this year. Truffert, Munoz, and just like Caicedo's on 17 points for a long time. So when Chelsea kind of fell off, he kind of fell off as well. And then you've got these 3 players been great. All these boys have had good seasons. And a reminder of the player of the weeks in this big old list here. Boys, it has been a fun old year. I tell you what, I've very much enjoyed myself. Don't know about you lot, but I'm off to Cardiff for the weekend. So content will resume after that in a much more consistent basis, hopefully, because I've got some ideas of stuff that I want to do. Transfer related content, end of season related content, and it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.